Brill. Welcome back to Giggles and Gains. I had an absolutely delightful 4 days in Madeira, 50-50 4 days. I will tell you more about that in a minute. But Sian's episode with the running got such amazing feedback, and she's actually been able to add so much value into our coaching group as well, because she hosted her first call this week, which was all about running. So if anyone has any questions on that, then I'm pretty sure she's going to have an Instagram page shortly that you'll be able to ask her. So today's episode, what I would really like to talk about is, well, it's going to tie in a little bit with holidays. One of the questions that you guys asked me was actually around how do I balance so many holidays and without that kind of sabotaging my results, which I definitely haven't always got right. But what I want to start with is just a few of your guys' questions first, and then I will run through and tell you more about Madeira and how I balance most things. So the first question I actually got was a few weeks ago, and it was from Julia. And she said, Instagram is full of influencers, all with different methods and ways to build muscle and lose fat. How best to navigate this? So in my opinion, Instagram is full of opinions. And unfortunately, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one. But that doesn't always mean that they're right. You have to find somebody that aligns with your views, your opinions, and their education is fact-checked. So you have to build a relationship with somebody that you trust. So I'll give you an example. A lot of people who will work with me will follow me on Instagram anywhere between years to months before they decide to work with me, because you, excuse the terminology, but we buy from people we know, like, trust, don't we? If we're wanting a service from somebody, we will make sure that we get to know them, and social media is a great way that we can do that. We want to, so I said, no, like, you've got to like the person, because you're not going to work with somebody or believe their advice if you don't like them. And you have to trust them. Like, they have to be a trustworthy person. And trustworthy can mean different things for different people. For me, it has to be, they've got to be genuine, they've got to be authentic, and they've got to speak the truth. There's no point where somebody minces their words, bullshits all the time, goes around telling different things. You've got to actually have a trustworthy relationship with somebody. So Instagram, how do you know that somebody is actually talking sense? I guess you've just got to trust your gut. And actually, in the world of health and fitness, there is so much information out there. So if we're particularly talking about building muscle and losing body fat, the facts are that to build muscle and to lose body fat, you have to have a structured training program. Well, that's my opinion, because technically you don't have to, but to have a structured training program, you're going to have some progressive overload to get decent results from it. What progressive overload means is it means adding an adaptation to the exercise or the muscle week in, week out. So that comes in different forms. It could mean lifting a heavier weight. It could mean extra reps. It could mean performing the exercise better. And that's one way that you can add progressive overload. If you are losing body fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You can do that in any ways. You could do it keto, you could do it Slimming World, you could do it Weight Watchers, you could do it calorie tracking. But basically, you have to eat less and move more. The final thing for building muscle is you need to be maintaining, or you need to be in a surplus. You need to be eating more so that you can allow those muscles to grow. And that's the general foundation of it. The stuff in the middle is opinion-based. So next question. Maz actually asked, any advice on shushing your inner sabotage? So in terms of self-sabotage, I know Maz struggles massively with this, and it's something that she's done so much growth on. And so many of us do too. Like, I do hugely. I spoke quite openly just before I went away and posted some transformation pictures personally. I am not the best person to be giving advice on this, because I am just as guilty as you guys. But if I'm feeling like a bit shit, I will speak to Derek about it and probably moan at him and be quite rude to him. But I will also then speak to a friend. If I'm speaking my thoughts out loud, that then allows me to rationalize them. So if I'm turning around and, for example, I've put on a couple of kilos and I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, you look really fat today. And I'm like, well, you're not fat. You've just put on a couple of kilos. Like, and then I do my measurements. I make sure my lifting belt still fits the same. It's totally irrational feelings. But you have to remember that your inner sabotage is coming from an irrational place, but they are still feelings. So you need to acknowledge them, sit with them and process them. And then for me, I need to say them aloud, because that helps me break them down with somebody else to realise that what I'm saying might not necessarily be the most rational thing. I'm talking a lot at the minute about with my clients about being kinder to ourselves, and it's something I'm still trying to practice. We should be kind to ourselves. Like the saying at the minute going around on social media is you wouldn't ever speak to yourself. Sorry, you wouldn't ever speak to your friend in the same way that you speak to yourself. And that's really, really paramount, because you wouldn't turn around and say, oh, you look fat today to your friend, would you? But you do it to yourself. And it's potentially using a tactic that is, if you're feeling like you're being mean to yourself, if you think one negative thing, then say 2 kind things to yourself afterwards. And that will kind of help balance out that equation. So what I wanted to talk about today was actually Helen's question. She said, how to keep in a good routine and not to go too far off the wagon on holiday. And that is really what I want to talk about today in the podcast. And before I do, I want to cover off a little bit about Madeira. So I spoke in a couple of episodes ago about alignment and decisions that I'm making. I'm trying to make better decisions that align to my goals. We recently went to Amsterdam in February, and Amsterdam was fun. It's fun if you smoke weed. I don't smoke weed. And I'm trying to drink a little bit less. And the other thing is, I don't want to go and just continually eat food all the time. In terms of, oh no, one of your lights went out.
I've just turned the other 2 down. I don't know why.
In terms of Amsterdam, it didn't really align my goals. It was an all right break, but I was like, oh, this is not really what I want to do. I don't want to walk around in a city in a circle. In terms of this holiday, we went to Madeira. It was for Dell's birthday, and we did a bit of research, and we literally went hiking in Madeira for 4 days. It was amazing. Like, Madeira is this small island and it's got so many mountains and things, and the walks were just epic. The views were insane. The sangria tastes really nice. The food was really good, and we just had the best time. The second part of the holiday, I got food poisoning, which is really common for me. I don't understand why. I eat so many things out of date at home, but then I go on holiday and eat some seafood and get food poisoning every time I go away. I also don't think food poisoning is the best way to stay in shape on holiday. But let's talk about Helen's question. So obviously, those of you that follow me, I eat out a couple of times a week. At the weekends, I live a really, really balanced lifestyle. I like a drink. And one of the biggest ways that I do that is I don't actually track my calories. So when I go on holiday, I kind of have a rough idea about what I'm eating. So the first thing that I focus on is when I go away is actually thinking about, where is my protein coming from? I know it sounds so silly, but I love Chris Williamson's podcast, and I listened to a pod he did this morning, and he said that motivation gets you started. It's the habits that keep you going. So it's your habits that you build when you're building your motivation that actually see you through. So for me, something like thinking about my protein, I don't even think about it anymore. It's my favorite thing to eat. I would much rather go for meat, fish over like pasta, carbs. I'm not really bothered about that. I'd rather go for the protein. So the biggest thing for me staying on routine is I walk up to the egg counter and I ask for 3 poached eggs in the morning, and every single time the egg lady goes to me, she does 2, and I'm like, please can I have an extra egg? She's like, bloody hell, this girl eats all the eggs. The second thing I go for is I'll opt for bacon or smoked salmon if they've got it. And that is my breakfast, because that's similar to what I'm eating at home. I don't need to eat the cakes. I don't need to eat the pasties. If I want to, I will. But then I'd basically substitute out my bread and just have those instead. The next thing that we do to keep a good routine on holiday is we literally have a non-negotiable movement rule. Like, Derek and I don't get to spend an awful lot of time together. So when we're away, it's very much like lots of walks, lots of chatting. So the first thing we do before we go to breakfast, because I don't like eating first thing in the morning, is we go for a walk down the beach. So before I've even had breakfast, I've totted up 5,000 steps already. And that's just like the first part of my day. Another good way to kind of keep your routine, stay on track and do all those things is pool movement. So if you've got a pool in the hotel and you're laying by the hotel all day, like set yourself a little length target so that you're moving if you haven't got the freedom to go on lots of walks and things like that. So you can basically get up in the morning and say, right, today I'm going to do 50 lengths and top those lengths up. That's movement. The biggest thing for me is we don't very often have lunch. We'll either have like an early dinner or a late lunch, and that's our evening meal. So we'll eat out one big meal. And that meal, I don't count what I'm watching, I don't think about it. I have the bread that they bring over, the alioli, the oil, and I just make choices and foods that I want to eat. And keep my steps high. And I feel that's the biggest way that I've focused on staying on track. The biggest thing is though, guys, like you're on holiday, like enjoy it. And you're making memories. So many people really, really worry about what they're up to and balancing this and balancing that. But actually, I had this conversation with one of my clients recently. She was so worried about her week away because she was scared she was going to sabotage her results. And I said, you're going away with your partner for 4 days. You've not been on holiday for years. Like, you should be enjoying that moment. You should be enjoying that memory, because without it, you're never going to remember that moment when you were 9.5 stone because you didn't enjoy your holiday. Nobody gives a shit. Like, you'd much rather make the memories with the people that you care about. I want to speak like quite openly about a time, like over the years, I haven't always got it right. And I said at the beginning about like building habits and routines to learn how to balance things better. When Del and I first got together, we went to Mexico on an all-inclusive for 10 days. And we just met, it was all really excited. We started drinking at like, I think the lady, Blanca literally brought round our cocktails at 10 o'clock in the morning. She knew what we had. It was brilliant. Margaritas first thing, and then at 12 o'clock we switched to Miami Vices. If you've never tried a Miami Vice, it's a pina colada and a strawberry daiquiri mixed together, and it looks like those dipstick lollies. Oh, it's brilliant. But obviously we were drinking them all day. I come back from Mexico 8 kilos heavier, and I couldn't lose it. I was just like, because we were still in our like new relationship phase, we're out for dinner loads, we're going on loads of dates. I haven't always got it right. Like, this was 2 years ago. I have definitely not always got it right. I go away, I overindulge all the time, and that's fine, because I know that when I come back, I'll pull it all back in and rein it back together. I think the next thing is going to be like, what's your routine when you come back from holiday? Because we all get back into the UK and the first thing we do is we've travelled, we're tired, the aeroplane food is shit. So what's the first thing we do? We come home, we order a takeaway because it's convenient, we haven't got a food shop in. One of the biggest things that I now do is I dragged Derek and the kids around Tesco's yesterday afternoon to get our food. Because for me, I need to have a cupboard full of food. If I don't know what I'm eating. I don't know how to plan for that. And that's really, really important. In terms of the next thing, this morning I've already been out for my walk with Axel. We've done 12,000 steps this morning. We did a 10K together, because that's the next thing I need to do. I just need to get back on my movement. I have my normal breakfast. It's a case of when you return back from the holiday, not still thinking you're in holiday mode and starting on Monday. Because if you get back from your holiday on Thursday, you've still got another half a week worth of damage control to do until you get to Monday. The same thing applies for summer. So navigating summer and like, how do you navigate those sorts of things? So I want to talk, God, this feels like I'm doing a client community coaching call. So I want to talk about like balancing calories and stuff like that, because that's what a lot of my guys do to get really, really good results throughout summer. So one of the main things that we do is, if you are working with us, we will build you your calorie target, because I like my clients to track their calories. I feel it's educational. They learn the foods they're eating. They learn types of foods to eat and what has high calorie density and what doesn't, and what fits into their macronutrients. So we build them a normal calorie day. We also build them a high day and a low day. So if they're going to use their high day at the weekend for a meal out, an event with family, drinks, whatever, they then use their low day across the week, and that helps them to calorie balance across the week so they don't overdo if they're in a deficit. The other thing that people always say about during summer is like barbecues. Like, what's going on with barbecues? How do I manage a barbecue better? Well, the barbecue is the easiest way of staying on track without actually sabotaging your results. You just don't need to eat everything. You go for a lean burger rather than a full fat burger, get some chicken sausages rather than full fat sausages, chicken breast rather than chicken thigh, get some salad, a little bit of coleslaw, you're sorted. Like, there's so many ways that you can actually focus on staying in control when you are working on yourselves without absolutely gorging yourself silly and going mentally overboard. And they're just some of the ways that I kind of plan and balance my day. I guess the next one would be alcohol choices. Making sure that you're not going for like a really calorie dense cider. Like, your cider's got somewhere between 300 to 400 calories in a bottle. And I know we all crave it on a sunny day. But if you had a glass of Prosecco, it's probably got 110 calories in a glass. So it's just choosing things that align with what your macronutrients suggest so that you don't then go overboard. And that also applies for holidays. That's me done. That was very efficient for my 6th episode. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today. It was a little bit different. It was a little bit more educational. It was a little bit probably more seasonal as well. I would love you to save, share, subscribe. We're on Spotify and YouTube. And I hope you all have an awesome day.